divine transmissions on All Saints' Day, November 1st, 2016. I am receiving the message that Jesus Christ is coming again. Jesus is rising up in women in a powerful way right now as the Jesus Sophia connection. I am remembering and having visions of being in an intimate romantic relationship with Jesus. Maybe these are my own memories from a past life, or maybe they are records from the Akashic records from the Living Library. Jesus came at the lowest point of humanity's descent into unconsciousness. He came at the I'm thinking 500 mark, but I don't think that's the right word. But there was in spiritual time, humanity descended into the depths. And at that point, many great teachers came to earth to help guide humanity through the next eon. Buddha, Muhammad, Jesus. There were great teachers that appeared across the world to help humanity hold on to these teachings until we reached the point in our consciousness where we were ready to return or to evolve, to grow into a golden age of embodied wisdom, of divine love, of expanded consciousness. This is a normal part of humanity's gifts as evolutionary creatures in the universe. So we are at, just like children go through different developmental stages, collectively we're at a stage that is a rebirth and a major awakening. And what I am sensing is that Jesus came with a message for a people. And in this particular timeline, the highest good was for Christ to die as the old king in the old cosmic law had to die in order to serve the goddess. There was a kingly sacrifice, and the king was subservient to cosmic law, which is the very laws of nature itself, because kings are endemically a part of that structure connected to nature. And so the kingly noble aspects of the masculine, when they are in their highest evolutionary form, they bow to the powers of the goddess, and they bow to the divine feminine, which is intrinsically linked to the laws of nature, the laws of the universe, the laws of infinite flowering of the lotus, of the expansion of consciousness, of the development of life itself. These keys and codes are deeply expressed in the feminine form, in the womb, and in the energy systems of the feminine body. Now, both bodies have sustained wounds in this period of human descension into unconsciousness as it fell away from source, as it fell away from the one, as it fell away from the light. And we have this in our human stories and our human spiritual stories of this idea of a great fall that happened. And in some of the Christian myths, there is these stories of the angels falling away, the ones who wanted to do things their own way, outside of cosmic law, outside of the way things work on the very highest dimensions of life and energy and light as it is found and expressed throughout the universe. And so these beings broke away in order to attempt to achieve some freedom or consciousness, in order to become like God. And this is our story of the beings who have come to Earth, who have been born in this time and this place. Many of us can trace our lineage back to these fallen angels. And to each of us is extended the choice to return to live again according to cosmic law and according to divine law, and to live in harmony again with our source of life. And to those of us who receive and who turn around and who allow the great healing and the great integration to happen as we bow to the divine essence of our created being. We did not create these bodies that we live in. They are gifts. They are temples. And there is an order, a divine order in ways in which the light constellates like crystals and forms connections within us that awaken us to our full potential. But many of our bodies have not been fully turned on or activated because we are still abiding by codes of enslavement that are a consequence of breaking away. And the enslavement is not, this is where it gets confusing for many of us. I think people experience being enslaved by God and, not having a sense of freedom. And certainly this is what the church has done to many people throughout humanity, has again taken the message, the divine message of freedom and liberation for all of humanity and healing for all of humanity, and turned it into another enslavement program, which has made people really lose heart on the spiritual path and within religious organizations. However, beneath all of the hidden traumas that the church has created and that the world has created, there lies the ancient secrets and the old orders of cosmic and divine law, which still exist, but have been kept hidden by powers that are ruling the earth, that are still operating with a very strong will to continue to break away from cosmic law. However, each of us is given a choice to return. And as we return, we declare our sovereignty as members of the one body members of Source, each from a different star family that lives in harmony with one another as it honors creation as divine. As we declare sovereignty, and as more people say, I want to return, I'm turning around, I am open to healing, open to integration, open to consciousness, open to really facing my shit and facing my shadow, facing my own sins, however you want to phrase that, of being willing to face the great I am, which is truly terrifying because it is so powerful. And yet we've feared our power, and so we've given it away. Or we've been tricked. Or we've wanted to have power over other people and to continue to be a part of the rebellion in order to gain financial security or to get ahead in life, or maybe we're just unconsciously doing it because we think that that is what we're supposed to be doing, because we only know a 3D reality and we've somehow conflated the law of the 3D reality with the laws of the higher dimensions and the higher planes, and they are not the same. Because the 3D law is created by a lower consciousness, lower vibrational wisdom. It is not integrated with the whole. It still is operating as if it's a completely separate entity, as if its actions have no consequences on anything else. And that's not the way cosmic law works. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So science is welcome at the table here. This is not about turning off our brains and becoming brainwashed. This is about using the mind and using the brains and activating the body and fully connecting what we know on a biological level, what we know on a quantum level, with what mystics know on a spiritual level. You know, we all have different threads running through us from different dimensions and from different realities that are sovereign. You know, there are ones who hold the keys to, the world of mathematics, and there are ones who hold the keys to the world of the mind and to the art of the body and to dance and to song. And no one rules them all. They are all connected to the one, and each one has its own sacred symmetry to it. Each person is a universe unto themselves with a sacred order, with an inner teacher, with a pattern that is meant for growth and for awakening. And yet the powers that be that are still a part of the rebellion have been actively working to traumatize the people of the earth for many, many years as humanity made this big descent. And now, so at the midpoint, the great teachers came to give us hope until this present time. Now we are entering into a new age. And I know that word is triggering for a lot of people in Christianity that I grew up with. And so I feel myself resisting that, because again, on both sides there's been a lot of false flags, and there's been a lot of yellow journalism and a lot of spinning. Okay, so this is a part that we have to wake up to as well, that we have to realize that we've been programmed to be cut off from our intuition, cut off from our instincts, cut off from our biology, cut off from wisdom, cut off from these ancient esoteric teachings, which have the power to heal and integrate humanity and connect us to our full potential during our time here on Earth, and to awaken powers that are ready to come through us so that we really thrive as a human species and turn turn the tables on this kind of death and destruction of the planet. So we are being supported in many different realms. And so when I say that word new age, I mean, in Christian terms, this is the same idea as Jesus is coming again. Okay, this is a new time of rebirth. And those of us who understand the birth cycle know that birth itself passes through the realms of death, because death is connected to birth. And it is going into the darkness that transmutes and transforms and unleashes the life force from the seeds deep within us in order to come into this new reality. This is a developmental stage. So I had the sense that Jesus was telling me, I am coming again. I am coming right now within each person as they awaken. And that vision I was having of Jesus being connected to a woman, but connected to the feminine in a special way, and I say that in the idea that he honored cosmic law, he honored divine law, he submitted to the goddess. And that sounds really strange, right? Because again, there's lots of codes and programs that make us go, ooh, when I say something like that, because that's what we've been trained to do, because the secrets and the mysteries and the truth are actually underneath the cringing, underneath all of the automatic responses that we have to turn away from those ideas. So try to hear me out, and then really listen with your heart, listen with your inner teacher, and receive what works for you and leave what doesn't. But allow yourself the journey, allow yourself the time to explore what's possible, to enter into the realm of possibilities, because we certainly need that right now. We certainly need people being creative and thinking outside of the box. And that's why we're here, because we are created for such a time as this, each of us. So when I say that this vision I had of Jesus submitting to the goddess, it means that Jesus submitted to divine law. Jesus submitted to cosmic law. This is an ancient old pattern in the archetypes that exist in the human consciousness that are connected to the highest realms of creation, that are connected to heaven, to our ideas about what it means to be moral, and what are the highest goods and what are the highest principles that we ought to live our lives by. At that particular time, when Jesus and the prophets came, was at some of the lowest points of human history, as humanity descended into unconsciousness and then slowly began to make its way back out. The only way that Jesus could proceed in that particular environment to fulfill what is the highest good of all beings was to again submit and die. Because he was showing humanity what we were doing to ourselves. So he was demonstrating our instincts were off. We were killing the divine within ourselves as we killed him. And I say we as the history of humanity, and I believe we all have connections back. We feel them in our bones and our memories and our instincts. He showed us our sickness, as did many other teachers. And he taught the way through was love, and that love was found in surrender. Surrender to our true nature, which also, this has also been programmed in Christianity, that our true nature is actually sinful. Our true nature is not sinful. Our fallen away nature is sinful. Our, I'm not even going to say rebellious nature, because we need rebellion right now. We need to rebel against the powers that be that are out of alignment with divine law. Because just because someone is in authority doesn't make them right. We value obedience in and of itself without bothering to question, who are we obeying and for what end? And then to ask the question, does that end serve the highest good of all beings? And if the answer is no, then we do not obey them. This is what we must awaken to, is that we desperately are, and we've been trained, this is another program that's been put in Christianity, that we need a savior. We need someone to come and fix it and make it right. And what that program has done is to make us susceptible to people in authority and to think, well, they know better. Somebody else knows better for my life. Somebody else is going to save me. No, Jesus, the Savior, comes from within. Jesus is born in the manger of our bodies. This is where the life comes from. Jesus rises in us. Now, this becomes tricky for women because the image of Jesus is masculine, and what is needing to rise for us and women is the divine feminine. And so while Jesus honored the goddess as he honored divine law, as he honored nature, and as he honored the truth of his being in honoring love as the highest good, many of the great prophets came as men, because it was at a time in which humanity had fallen so far away from living in accordance with natural law, with organic matter, honoring life, honoring creation, which is endemic to the feminine. There needed to be a good son, a son who came into the world, who reminded everyone the way forward. And this has been the great pain of many men for thousands of years, as they have worked to also become the good son. And they have made many, many, many sacrifices. And what I heard from Jesus this morning was that time is coming to an end for men. That story that the good son needed to sacrifice and sacrifice so much that they were drowning under the sacrifice even of their own self. That they were working too hard for everybody else and trying to do what was right and being the strong, faithful men who were needed to carry us through these difficult times. That their struggles are now moving to an end, because that narrative of the son having to sacrifice is coming to an end. Because as women are rising, as the goddess Jesus Sophia energy rises within us, we are less susceptible to believing the lies that have been told to us for centuries, that we have less power than we do, that we are less valuable. All of the ways in which, women are still underpaid, more girls are aborted, women are still bought and sold. This devaluation of the feminine has happened throughout the ages as a way to oppress power, because true power lies with the goddess, who is the source of life herself. We are all inside of a beautiful cosmic womb, which is the universe. And the goddess brings love. She was the connection to Jesus through the women that surrounded him and supported his ministry. The energy of the divine feminine is the river, is the water. She is Aphrodite emerging from the sea. She brings playfulness and joy and new life out of the chaos and the ashes. This is what is returning to humanity. And as we learn and wake up, the consciousness expands, and we learn that we can continue to learn in love and joy and move forward with grace and ease, as opposed to, having to be hit over the head with all these calamities in order to wake up. So there's a sense too where, these traumas could continue to happen to us by a ruling class because we were not yet conscious enough to know our power. We were not yet conscious enough to say no. We were still like little children. But now we are becoming adults. And we are being asked to receive this initiation into a higher consciousness. As all of the prophets' wisdom are rising within us, as the memories of the ancient ways of the goddess are rising. And with that is the recognition, this is not all like, easy, I'm not talking about, bifurcating the soul here by doing some kind of a spiritual bypassing is the phrase that's used a lot. I'm talking about facing completely our shadows, facing completely the underworld and the things of darkness that we've done so that we actually learn from them. Because we're not really forgiven, we're not really free if we keep repeating the sins of the past. So what's happening right now is a huge shift in consciousness where we're together, we're remembering the sins of the past. Together we're remembering. That doesn't work. That is a part of the rebellion. And we are collectively turning towards Source and saying, this is the way. And this is not about one religion dominating another. This is about humanity tying together all of the beautiful threads and stories from all of our religions as we collectively join with the cosmos. This is about creating cosmic faith, cosmic spirituality, global unity consciousness, as we come together as a human species to say, it is valuable, life is valuable, the earth is valuable. So I talk a lot about Jesus because that's my tradition, and I talk to my people where those codes and programs resonate. And each of us have keys to unlock the trauma codes that our people have endured. So I encourage everyone to speak and to share stories and to share wisdom and to fear not. It's like said so many times in the Bible, fear not, fear not. For we are surrounded by a great cloud of witness, and the veils are getting thin. And the light is strong and increasing, and we're going through the birth canal. And things are going to get more intense. But as we step into the light, and as we continue to stay focused on what is actually happening here, we can move through this time with grace, ease, and joy. And the more of us do that, the more that's going to be how we roll. That's going to be the way things are. Because once enough of us declare our sovereignty and declare that we are not going to continue to be a part of the rebellion, that we want to live in unity consciousness, that we want to live according to cosmic law, that we want to ascend into the highest natures of our being, then the rebellion has no power. It must, according to cosmic law, leave. And so it is.